you've decided to run a beater. Could be for economic necessity. It could be for mobile mechanical masochism. Here we are. So the one thing you need when you have a beater is, well, something's going to break. Just going to happen. It's the way it is. So a good thing to have is a few tools. I will show you some of the things that I keep in mind just in case the moment happens. Besides, the other thing that you need is it pays to have a good towing plan just in case you're not going to fix it on the side of the road, as what happened with the Ranger and the serpentine belt. I wasn't going to fix the Ranger in a truck stop parking lot with, what few tools I had. The roadside assistance plan works out. Whichever one you have is good. Just I prefer to have it, not the base one where it's, 5 miles or the nearest garage, whichever is first, or the more kind of unlimited plan where we're going to tow it up to 100 miles. I prefer the tow it up to 100 miles where I tell them. The one thing with that is the car has to be registered, inspected, insured, and there are some tow truck drivers that check. So just be warned if you decide to tow a car that isn't licensed or inspected and you think, oh, that's one of my free tows. Nope, not like that anymore. So let's get into it. I'll show you the tools that I have. So I have had flat tires in this in the past, and it happens. So I like to keep the scissor lift 4-way. You also have your handle for the jack, which, if you need to bend something, it does come in handy. And like to keep a set of jumper cables just in case. And then as far as tools, this is kind of a find that a friend gave me, but it has everything I could need. You have your cutters, adjustable pliers, locking pliers, some feeler gauges, screwdrivers, adjustable wrench. This is another tool to undo the lug nuts. You have some Allen keys. We have a big adjustable wrench. We have another for the lug nuts, hammer. You can't forget the hammer. And then a pair of needle nose pliers. This tool pouch works very well just to have in the car in case one of those oh darn moments. We have our tool pouch, we have our wrench, everything's nice, everything fits underneath the floor. That's the tools for the bubble. Next we will go and see the tools that are in the truck. So now I'll show you the tools that I keep in the truck here. Okay, so this is some of the tools that I have in the truck. So as far as tools in the truck, these are some of the tools that I keep in the truck. This, by far, best thing. My wife got me this as I think it was a Father's Day present. Let me tell you, this paid for itself many times over. I love having this. You can use it as for a 12-volt in and out, like if you wanted to charge your phone or something else, USB, that works. Plus, charges the battery. I've actually jumped tractors, I've jumped big trucks off of this, and it works. As far as if you need to check the air in your tires. So the little cheapy ones, they are not worth the money that you pay for them. I had one, it worked once. It filled up one tire, that's it, locked up, done. This is just a Schwinn bicycle pump, and if you look, it goes up to 120 psi. Well, your car needs 30, 40 pounds, maybe. Right here, low end of bicycle power is what this thing will do. Sure, you have to do it yourself, but it doesn't break. It always works, and you don't have to worry about if the cord's going to reach or if it's going to die, because this is the way to go. If you have a flat tire, side of the road, I have a safety vest. They're probably not going to see you anyway, but a little bit of something. Always have a good set of work gloves in your car. I would also have a good set of insulated ones just in case you have a problem in the winter. Set of jumper cables, some ratchet straps, bungee cords, long bungee cord, and then there's this. And this, just a multi-tool, has, pliers, but also has all kinds of saws to it, different screwdrivers. All in all, having something, one of these multi-tools is indispensable. The other thing that I always say that you should have is just a regular old Swiss Army pocket knife. Screwdrivers, knives. If you drive a tractor trailer, let's say where your pigtail goes into the trailer, if it's one of the split ones that doesn't make good connection, the screwdriver in this, if you just slide it right up in between them, this thing works awesome. I've been using that for decades. Man, oh man, does it do the job. Big fan. Now, the other one. There's this. This is actually a Volkswagen accessory toolkit from probably the 60s. And this was in my father's car. This in a Beetle or, you know, Carmen Ghia, whatever. When you open the hood, rather than having a hubcap on the spare tire, this fits in the center of the tire where that hubcap would be. Looks like a Volkswagen hubcap. You can see the age or the patina right in there. Full toolkit, all just real nice. Screwdriver, pliers, some wrenches, pretty much most of the things that you would need. It works. I've used this a bunch of times on a bunch of different vehicles, and right now it just sits in the back of the truck, keeps everything nice and handy. So, speaking of automotive masochism, or mechanical mobile masochism, truck, I had put a new alternator in it, did the serpentine belt, did the belt tensioner, did the idler pulley, because, you know, it needed it, they disintegrated. Well, then the alternator went. So I bought a new alternator. That was fine for a few days. And next thing you know, when I was supposed to drive down to Philadelphia Airport, battery light comes on. Well, I'm not playing with that. I had a time schedule, used the bubble instead, went down, came back, and looked at the truck. And this week's video was supposed to be a video on I'm going to take the alternator off, and not only take the alternator off, but I am going to take the old one and get it rebuilt, put that one on. Well, that was the video idea. Went out to the driveway, truck magically fixed itself. Don't know what the deal was with the battery light. That was the end of that. Yesterday, I took it out for a drive and it broke again. Didn't really break, but battery light came on. What's the deal with that? So I talked to a friend of mine. He owned the Sentra, took a tester, tested the charging system from the alternator, the battery, the grounds, everything. And it was reading up in the 14s, like 14.5, 14.7, charging to the battery. Shut the truck off. Battery tested fine. Alternator tested fine. Grounds were solid. I don't know. Maybe the battery, when the other alternator went, maybe the battery just got a little too low. Still start the truck fine, but maybe it was just a little low. So this morning, another good thing to have is a little code reader. I have one. It used to be like an old Garmin GPS that has a plug-in for this old girl here, and it will tell me the codes and what's going on, but it also has gauges. So I flipped the gauges on so I would be able to see exactly what the battery's doing or what the charging system's doing. And I took this out today for probably 70 miles of just aimless wandering. In that time, it was charging 14.5, 14.7 the whole time. Idle, running, just the whole time. So occasionally the battery light would come on, then it would go off. The whole time, charging system said it's fine. So I haven't found anything wrong with it yet. I'm sure at the worst possible time it will pop up. And I did have a friend say that, well, it is a Ford. I said, man, don't say that too loud, because I'm sitting in it and it might get angry. But so far it did not. It's been running along just fine. So new alternator's good, and have the GPS plugged in is what it is. I will keep this a little more local up until it either breaks or I trust it. I wanted to show you what I have as far as if you're going to drive a beater, you should have tools just in case. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you later.